right, so to start, I guess let me give a little background, a short story, how I came up with this topic for tonight's webinar, which is social media reputation and crisis management. Last weekend, I did a seminar in Bacolod. It's a basic digital marketing seminar. The same seminar that I was doing here in Manila, the secret to getting customers and clients online. And there was one concern from one of the participants, and the concern is, now that they understand that creating an online presence is really very important, and engaging and being present in social media is very important, and they want to start doing that. That brings, this threat, or probably this fear of being vulnerable for, attacks from not only from for competitors, but being exposed to comments and negative feedback in the social media space. So this webinar is actually a response to that concern, and hopefully I will be answer the questions and concerns, and whatever questions and concerns you might have about social media reputation and crisis management. So again, my name is Ben Francia. A little background about myself. I'm an internet marketing consultant, and what I do is I help businesses and individuals create success in the internet, helping them conduct digital marketing campaigns and help them market their products and services online. I also am an outsourcing consultant. I actually manage a small digital marketing agency based here in Pineda, Pasig. And we can pretty much do anything and everything that an online business needs to run its business online. I also am a volunteer life coach. I am part of a bigger organization called Organizational Change Consultants International, or OCCI, and it is in this organization that I participate as a volunteer life coach. And outside of business and outside of family life, I'm also a goldfish addict, a self-confessed goldfish addict. And I used to have 1275 goldfish tanks sa aking garage. So right now, I maintain about 2 gallons na lang, but goldfish is still part of my passion, and looking forward to putting up my own goldfish farm in the future. So that's about me. And the topics we will be covering for this evening: what is online reputation, what is social media reputation, and why is it important to take control of our social media reputation. I'll be showing you a couple of social media crisis case studies, companies that did well in managing their social media reputation, and companies that did not. I'll be showing you how to proactively build your online reputation by building a strong online presence. And lastly, I'll be discussing 3 steps should there be a social media crisis that arise, and this is a good way to handle and respond to that social media crisis. Our hashtag for tonight is BenTalks 2013. And if there's anything that any insight or any learning that you want to share on Twitter, feel free to share it on Twitter, and make sure that you mention me, Ben Francia, and use the hashtag BenTalks2013. To make it a little bit more exciting, for those who are participating actively on Twitter, I'll be sharing, or rather, I'll be raffling out one free seat to my August 10 digital marketing seminar. So more about that later after the main content of the seminar. All right, so to start, let me talk about branding. And it is said that a brand is in the eyes of the customer. And when we talk about branding, I guess a perfect example that I can discuss and that I can share is Apple. Apple is a well-known international brand. And when we talk about branding for Apple, these are the buzzwords that come into our mind. We hear quality, premium, elegant, or elegance, classy, durable, and user-friendly. These are buzzwords, and these are actually descriptions that are associated to the brand Apple. However, these words are words that were not, crafted by the company itself. These were words that have been defined and, associated by consumers themselves to the brand Apple. And these are the words that they describe how Apple is whenever they talk about Apple in the social media space. Now, here's a question. Have you ever tried Googling your name or the name of your brand or the name of your company name? If you haven't yet, I am highly recommending that you do this immediately after this webinar. And for those who have done this and have been doing it quite frequently, are you happy with with what you see? Do you see a lot of mentions of your branding or your brand name in the Google searches? And have you tried checking out the social media space if there are people actually talking about you on Facebook, Twitter, and all of these other social media networks? What about blogs? Did you or have you been seeing third-party blog posts that are mentioning your name or your brand? How about online discussions in form of forums or online communities? Is your name or your brand name being discussed or mentioned there? And after looking at all those online mentions, are you happy with what you see online? The fact is, everybody is online. Your peers and associates are online. These are the people that your promoters. These are supposedly your fans. These are the people that you are targeting to be your advocates. Um, leads and your customers are also online. These are the people that you want to do business with. Your competitors, most especially, are online. These are the people who are always on the lookout for opportunities, to be ahead of you. And lastly, there are still people that are out there, that are pissed at you and they are online. And they're always on the lookout, again, for opportunities to say bad things and provide negative feedback about you. Let me show you a couple of statistics. This is actually a graph from a report by Nielsen, which is also published on the Rappler website. It shows here that about 72% of online consumers in the Philippines, to be exact, are actually conducting research before they actually purchase a product, before they start, doing business with a person or with a company. They look up product information online. And when they do this research, their first stop would be Google. And most of the time, the search results that they normally see are blog posts, and they see, online discussions in the social media networks like Facebook and Twitter. Another graph, a very interesting statistical info, again, which is provided by Nielsen, a report that they generated last 2011. 92% of online consumers trust peer recommendations. And about 70% of online consumers trust opinions that are posted online. These are forms of, third-party reviews. Surprisingly, it's significantly higher even than traditional advertising. Like in this case, ads on TV is only about 47%. Before I walk you through the case studies, these statistical data only shows us that our online presence greatly influences not only our reputation, but our future business opportunities because it affects how people perceive us as a business, how people perceive our branding and our online reputation. Now, let me walk you through a couple of case studies. Case study number one, LWS Media, which is a BPO, business process outsourcing company based in the Philippines. Unfortunately, they've closed shop like last year. But if you do a Google search on Google Philippines for the keyword LWS Media, you'll find about two negative mentions, primarily from forums. Here, there are a couple of not only um, past customers but also past employees who are bashing and providing negative information about LWS Media in these public forums. And they're showing up on page one. People doing research about LWS Media before they start doing business with them is greatly affected. And that way, their future opportunities and future business. Another example, Prestige Tower Ortigas. I saw this negative mention because I was doing a little research when I did a seminar in Prestige Tower. I think that was January of this year. Notice the one of the search results at the bottom: woman commits suicide in Ortigas building. So just imagine the kind of negative feedback and reputation that this um, negative mention brings to the building itself. It's like saying that, hey, rent out or lease out a unit in this building because this building is a perfect, what do you call this, venue for committing suicide. Chick Boy, who is a relatively new restaurant chain here in the Philippines, try to do a keyword or Google search for the keyword Chick Boy scandal, and you'll see that everything on the page one search results are actually third party blogs and mentions about the scandal that happened for Chick Boy. So, what happened here is that there's one consumer eating in the restaurant and found a real big caterpillar in one of the dishes. If you do a Google search for images for Chick Boy scandal, you'll see a lot of images that was posted by people, and these images got shared in the social media networks. Sadly, it was also picked up by none other than Inquirer.net, which is a high authority news site here in the Philippines. And as you can see, this article got shared on Facebook 7,761 times, got tweeted 111 times, and got shared in different social bookmarking sites by about 7,886. Number of likes on Facebook, 534. Just imagine the damage, the PR damage that this article has done for that company. And also, it got picked up by spot.ph, which is a website dedicated for providing reviews for business establishments and restaurants. The person probably who had this very bad experience with Chick Boy even created a Facebook page to provide a venue for everyone who hates Chick Boy and provide a venue for ranting and venting out their negative feedback. Twitter mentions. As you can see here, this was generated using a tool called Social Mentions, and you can see people tweeting about this scandal. And on the first mention, we got about 14 engagements from different people. The second example got 110 engagements, and the last one got about 103 engagements. Here's another example from one of our favorite companies, and if we get disconnected, unfortunately, from this webinar, you know who is to blame. And I did a Google search for the keyword PLD to customer service and see here four negative mentions from third-party sites, actually blogs, saying how crappy the customer service of PLDT is. Even got picked up by different blog sites. Again, they created even um, a Facebook page. This is actually one of the many Facebook pages solely dedicated to provide channel to air out the negative feedback about the customer service of PLDT. Again, social mentions. And here's, after going through all those examples, it is very important for us to understand that every negative mention online is a potential social media catastrophe waiting to explode. All you need, is one popular guy on Twitter to retweet that single tweet, and boom, you have a social media crisis. Still, even for those who are, very much prepared in handling these kind of crises, no matter how prepared are you, no matter how strong your online presence is, no matter how big or small your company is, there's still other factors online that are beyond our control, that we cannot control, and shit happens. So let me cite a couple of examples that proves this point. This is an example from the US, a very common example that's being shown when you talk about social media crisis and reputation management. Applebee's is a restaurant chain in the US. So what happened here is that there is this one pastor who ate with a couple of friends, and when he got the bill, he found out that when you eat in that restaurant and you are in a company of more than 10, an automatic 18% tip is automatically added to your bill. And to his surprise, and his disappointment, he actually wrote a short note on the bill, which is written on the example here on the right side. I gave God 10%. Why do you get 18? And he signed his name in there. I actually just smudge it out so to protect the privacy of this person. What happened is that the waiter who picked up this bill took a picture and uploaded it on one of the popular social bookmarking sites, and it actually got viral, got shared in the different social media networks, and affected the online reputation of Applebee's. A lot of online discussions happened, bashing and providing negative feedback about Applebee's. I guess the biggest mistake here is divulging private information, not protecting the privacy of their consumers. And one particular incident happened. If you can take a look at the image at the middle, where an image of a receipt. This is actually the back of a receipt that was posted on Facebook, again by the Applebee's people. What happened was that they got a positive note, a positive comment from a satisfied consumer. And in their interest to recover the lost reputation, what they did was they uploaded this photograph of this receipt and note again, without knowing that they have committed the same mistake of divulging the private information of the person who provided the feedback. Another example, HMV. HMV is a music retailer company in the US. What these guys did was they actually hired interns to help them manage their social media network, primarily their Twitter account. And when the time came that they were in a financial or business crisis, that they had to let go and lay off a couple of their employees, including their interns actually fought back and hijacked this Twitter account and started posting flame messages against HMV, their bosses, their marketing directors. They just kept on sending negative messages and how bad the company is. All right. Last example, DKNY. The story about this image is that there's this street photographer based in New York, and he manages a blog, and he has several photos published online. DKNY caught his attention. He caught DKNY's attention rather, and what DKNY did, in their interest to use his photographs of New York, they offered this guy $15,000 in exchange for them to use their 300 photos. And this guy, knowing that he deserves more than just $15,000 for all 300 photos, he actually asked for more payment, an increase in the offer, However, DKNY declined, and after that, this photographer never heard back again from DKNY. After a few months, he later found out from a social media follower that his photographs, the same 300 photos, were actually have been used by DKNY in one of their stores in Bangkok. Now, in his disappointment, he published this photograph on his Facebook account, shared it to everyone else on his social media network since he's very influential on Facebook, and told the story how DKNY stole his photographs. And again, in this disappointment, he told everybody on his social media network that if you think that DKNY should donate $100,000 to YMCA in Brooklyn, please share this photograph to everyone in your social media network. And because of that, this photograph and the negative mention about DKNY got viral, caught fire. It actually got 41,000 likes, 37,000 shares, and 4,000 comments. And in DKNY's desire to minimize the damage, rather, they actually donated $25,000 to YMCA in Brooklyn. Now, I'm sure some of you would still have that fear of having that kind of vulnerability when it comes to being in social media. But the good news is your online reputation or your brand doesn't have to be, at the mercy of Google and social media. That is because we are in control. We can actually proactively build and protect our online reputation by having a very strong online presence and creating and engaging in discussions in social media. Now, how do we do this? How do we prepare? And how do we make ourselves ready for any future social media crisis? Here are three basic must-dos. This is really very easy to remember. Just remember the acronym PLR, which stands for prepare, listen, and respond. Now, let me discuss each item in detail. Number one, the first part of prepare is take control. When I say take control of your online presence. Build a strong online presence by number one, first and foremost, purchase a domain name, build a website, start blogging, start providing valuable content in the blogosphere. Maximize and create a presence on the major social media networks, the tier one social media networks, primarily that would be Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google Plus, and YouTube. After you've set up your online presence there, optimize your social media networks. Make sure that you reserve your name in all the other social media networks that we haven't mentioned here, even if you don't intend, or you're not having any immediate plans of using those networks yet. Just sign up, get an account, and reserve your name in there. Next is create and engage in discussions. Moderate discussions. Be the one who is in control of the discussion, so that people won't take advantage of your absence in the social media discussions. And lastly, provide valuable content. When you provide content, regardless if it's a blog post, if it's a video, if it's an infographic, or it's as simple as a photograph about your company, every piece of content that you publish online will be a digital footprint that would increase your online presence and eventually your online reputation. Again, as part of preparing is being ready for any imminent or unpredicted social media crisis. First step here is to set up an internal escalation protocol. What do I mean about this is that you should set up and document a procedure. What happens? What do you need to do? Who are the first people that you need to notify if a negative online mention is detected? After that, what you need to do is to consolidate all your social media accounts and make sure that you have limited access, or you limit the number of people who has access to those social media accounts. Next, create a social media policy. A social media policy is just essentially a set of guidelines or a set of rules that everybody in your organization needs to abide by when it comes to using social media, regardless if it's in, for personal or for business use. And lastly, train your organization. Train your organization how to use social media and how to take advantage of social media tools, not only in protecting your online reputation, but also to empower them and to equip them in being advocates for your brand. To cite an example, here is the global social media policy of Dell, which is published on their publicly on their website. Just to summarize their social media principles: number one, protect information. Number two, be transparent and disclose. Number three, follow the law, follow the code of conduct. Number four, be responsible. Number five, be nice, have fun, and connect. Now, this simply summarizes all the principles, all the guidelines that each member or each employee of Dell should abide by, so that they'll be responsible employees in using social media. And also to extend this effort, they actually started their own social media university, wherein every employee in their organization is required to take this certification course, not only to teach them the social media principles, but also to teach them how to effectively use social media in their work and as a professional who is very much associated to Dell. This only shows that Dell recognizes that each member of their organization is a spokesperson of the company, is a brand advocate of the company, and that anything that they say or do in the social media space can potentially, damage or improve their online reputation. Number two, listen. Listen here means setting up listening tools so you can monitor online mentions of your brand and your keyword in real time. One tool that I normally use is um, Google Alerts. It's Google Alerts allows you to monitor keywords. Keywords, your actual name, your keywords that are associated to your brand and your trademark. And whenever a piece of information is published on the net, and as soon as Google indexes those keywords and those blog posts or those websites or web pages, you automatically receive a notification, and together with that notification is a link where you can actually review that piece of information. And with that, you can easily, in real time, respond to that mention, regardless if it's a positive or a negative mention. Another tool that you can actually try using out is Tracker. Although this is a paid premium tool, but what's good about Tracker is that it consolidates everything. Um, it connects all the social media networks, namely YouTube, Twitter, Google Plus, Facebook, and all the other social media networks. Also includes blogs, forums, and other websites. And it integrates all notifications that are captured or mentions that are captured on these social networks and online networks, and displays them in one single dashboard. And with this, you can actually easily monitor and in real time respond to all mentions about your company. Communicate is Twitter management tool that I use. I actually use this for all to monitor, not only to manage my social media or rather my Twitter community, but also to monitor all mentions of my account, of my name, of my blog post, or any keyword that is associated to me, so I can respond to them right away. Another tool that we use for research is social mention. It actually displays all Twitter mentions about your keyword. And what's good about this tool is that it actually segregates all mentions according to sentiment. You can segregate mentions if it's positive, neutral, or negative. This is a picture of Dell's social media listening command center. It might look a little bit, over, but what Dell does is, or did rather, is that they've actually set up a separate department that is operating 24 by 7 that purely just monitors all online mentions. They actually monitor about 22,000 different topics relating to Dell. They monitor all social media networks, all blogs, everything that is being captured by their online monitoring tools. And once they detect a mention about their brand and about their company name, they instantly analyze that mention and segregates every mention according to sentiment, according to relevance, according to priority, and assigns, since they have a very good and efficient escalation process in place, they can easily assign it to whoever department needs to address those mentions, whether it be it's in operation, customer service, sales and marketing, PR, so on and so forth. And lastly, after making sure that you are prepared, you have a strong online presence, and you're prepared to handle all these negative mentions, and you have all the listening tools in place, you need to make sure that you know how to respond if a negative mention happens. Let me just summarize them in 7 basic steps, as a 7 must-do list. Number one, as soon as you get a notification of a negative mention in social media, acknowledge. The first response from the company, from your company, should be, "We know." What's important here is to let everybody in social media, most especially those people who are complaining, that you know that such an issue exists, and that you are doing something about it. Doing so actually slows down the flood of "hey company" messages. You need to do this immediately, even if you have very little or no additional information yet. And after you provide this initial response of acknowledgement of the issue, please escalate the issue to the proper channels so you can properly resolve that issue. Number two, fight fire with water. Don't fight fire with fire, fight fire with water. Um, we normally hate people who are on the defensive, and people who justify whenever we see something wrong. What's important here is whenever we respond, whenever we acknowledge the issue, please don't be on the defensive. Don't justify the issue. What's important is just for you to acknowledge the issue and respond where the crisis happened. If the crisis or the negative mention happened first on Facebook, respond initially on Facebook before you respond to all the other social media networks. Number three, be sorry. The fastest way to be forgiven if you commit, if you did commit a mistake, is to be sincerely sorry. Apologize. One perfect example here is what happened with KFC Malaysia, which I think the social media managers of KFC Malaysia handled it pretty well. What happened in KFC Malaysia in 2011 was that um, there were actually two two employees or service crew who actually took a video and uploaded a video of them tampering with the food, tampering with the chicken. What they were actually wiping the chickens on the soles of their shoes before starting to fry these chickens. And when the management of KFC Malaysia found out about this imminent social media crisis, they responded right away by publishing a video on YouTube. This picture that you see in front of you right now is Muhammad Alwi, which is the director of restaurant operations. the highest person in the operations of KFC Malaysia, issuing a public apology about what happened and assured everyone in the public that they did something about it and they're making sure that this incident would never happen again. What's key here is the immediate response and providing a sincere apology from a person who is up in the ranks, the person, the director nonetheless of the restaurant operations of KFC Malaysia. Number four, create a crisis fact sheet. Once you've done all the initial steps, the first three steps, what you need to do is to document everything, document the issue, document most especially the FAQs, the frequently asked questions. And what you need to do is to publish it online, probably through a mini site or a landing page, so that whenever a question arises, whenever somebody asks about that issue in social media, you don't have to respond to every question and answer them in that channel. All you have to do is to provide the link and direct them to that crisis fact sheet. Number five, create a pressure release valve. In most cases, everybody in social media who is venting out, most especially those who are responding or probably um, complaining in social media about a crappy product, is that they just want to vent out and they just want somebody to listen to them. So in this case, create a channel or provide a channel or a venue that is completely within your control. A channel where they can vent out, all these messages and all these ranting and all these negative mentions. Don't use Facebook and all your Twitter account and all your social media networks as a channel for them to vent out. Create a channel that is completely within your control so as to minimize the damage. Some companies create a dedicated support site, or another thing that you can consider is probably allocate a dedicated phone number so that they can call that number and to minimize any exposure of the negative comments. Number six, control Google SERPs or search engine results pages. What we need to do here is to publish as many content as we can in social media, in forms of blogs, articles, press releases, and ask other third-party sites and other third-party blogs to do the same in our behalf, so as we control the visibility and push down the visibility of all those negative mentions on Google, especially towards the pages number three and below, where nobody normally looks at. And lastly, learn your lesson. This is an opportunity for you to evaluate what really happened. And when it comes to evaluating a social media crisis, the best way, an approach that I use is the three W's. Ask yourself or ask your organization what worked, what didn't work, and what could work better. After that, you document the crisis, all the lessons, everything that you did, and compile everything as part of your social media crisis portfolio. This will form part of your documentation, and all you can cite this as case studies in all your social media trainings, so that you make sure that this particular crisis would never happen again. All right. So before we end, let me just summarize all the key takeaways of this webinar, all the key lessons. Number one, your brand is greatly influenced by your online reputation, and your online reputation, greatly influences any current or future business opportunity that is in front of you. The good thing, you are and you can take control of your online reputation by building a very strong online presence. Like what I mentioned, start blogging, put up a website, be present and be active in the social media networks, and start engaging people in there and start creating discussions. And lastly, the three must do's if an unpredictable social media crisis arises: prepare, listen, and respond. That's PLR. so that you can easily remember. Before we end, let me just share this seminar that I'm having on August 10th. This is my basic digital marketing seminar entitled The Secret to Getting Customers and Clients Online. It's actually a 3 hour seminar where I'll be sharing my secret sauce, or the basic principles that I abide by in creating a successful online business. Again, it's on August 10, 2013. That's a Saturday. It starts at 1 p.m. in the afternoon up to 4 p.m. Venue will be at the Legend Villas Function Room. That's along Pioneer Avenue, Mandaluyong City. Registration fee is 1,500 pesos. So sign up now. Just go to benfrancia.com/, sign up 101/. Okay, just to end this night, let me share with you this quote from Mark Schmullen from Constant Contact. There is no cure for sucking. There's no amount of online reputation management. There's no amount of spending of money that is dedicated in digital marketing, social media strategies that could, that will change your online reputation or probably increase your good image in the social media space if your company sucks. If you have a real crappy product, real crappy service, and real crappy organization. The best formula that I can give you is to have a remarkable product, a remarkable service, and remarkable relationships with your customers, coupled with good social media strategies and having a good online presence. So again, thank you very much for your time and for participating. I hope you learned a lot. Please check out my blog at benfrancia.com. My Twitter handle at benfrancia, and I also have that same handle at benfrancia on Instagram. My Facebook page, facebook.com/internet marketing ph. So that's it for tonight. Thank you very much. This is again Ben Francia saying, you can be successful online. You can make it happen.